on Beyond the Lair. Our guest is Brad Mason, co-founder and principal of Servco Canada. We discuss finding your purpose, making a difference, and enhancing industry relations with Indigenous communities one at a time. Hello, welcome to another podcast of Beyond the Lair, a podcast that really amplifies and gives a platform for Indigenous entrepreneurs that are making a social impact in community, but are also making a difference. We also really want to showcase companies that are doing the same. And one of our favorite companies of all time is Servco Canada. And one of our favorite people of all time is founder and co-founder and principal of Servco, Brad Mason.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Gina Jackson. I'm your co-host, and this is Dean Montgomery. I'm Gina Jackson Montgomery, your co-host, and this is my husband, Dean Montgomery.
I'm glad to be here today. I'm glad that you're here, Brad. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you too.
We have a long history together, and we met around the same time that Dean and I met. And maybe we can have a little background on not exactly that time in our lives, but on your history and your starting of becoming an entrepreneur. And who is Brad Mason, and where did he come from, and where did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, well, Brad Mason has started off as a apprentice pipe fitter back in 1983, which would make me fairly old, I guess, now. And started up Servco Canada in 2001. And it was important for us right from the beginning that we get back to the communities that we're working in. And it was especially important to me that we work in the Indigenous communities and provide opportunity and that type of thing. So while we were forming joint ventures in that across Western Canada, I was able to spend some time in BC with Dean, who had been working in that space for an awful long time, and Dean was gracious enough to introduce me to a bunch of people, you being one of them, Gina, and in many First Nations in British Columbia, so that's kind of how I got involved with Dean to start with, and Dean introduced me to a lot of different First Nation communities in British Columbia, and we've been doing some business with some of them, and as well in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, and it's been great. It's been really, really exciting.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun along the way, don't we? Right?
We've had lots of fun along the way, for sure.
Yeah, it's not just business, and we go out, we see games, go to the odd bar or two.
Yeah,
it's all about relationship building. It's all about relationship building. Let's go back a little bit further to before you started your company and you growing up and deciding what industry that you were going to and the influencers that were in your life, because you've had such a profound impact in so many people in respect of people, anyone you touch around you, for one thing, your children, your employees. But what got you to be the person that you were before you started your company in the 80s?
I guess, first of all, the simple answer would be my mother and my father, certainly, especially my mother. She was always a very gracious lady. Growing up, I remember if the street crews are coming to work on the sewer or water line or whatever, she'd be the first person out the door and marching down there with a jug of Kool-Aid and some sandwiches for them, so that's kind of the way I was raised. I don't know if I ever made a conscious decision to get into construction in particular. I had an opportunity to work some summers in high school with a fellow that my father knew through work, and he owned a construction company, and he brought me in to paint pipe stands and sweep floors and that type of thing. And then when I graduated, he actually offered me an apprenticeship, and I had enjoyed working there and decided to keep going. So it certainly was never a conscious decision that I wanted to be in construction, but started off down that path and had no reason to change, really. It's been a great run for me. I've met a lot of incredible people along the way, and it's given me an opportunity to support my family. My wife Judy Lynn works with me. She's our CFO, and I've got two incredible children now. I had three. All of my children are Indigenous, and they're all adopted. And we lost our youngest daughter about 8 years ago now to suicide. She'd been bullied in school, and that was obviously overwhelming. It still is overwhelming, but that put us on the path of working with Canadian youth in crisis, and trying to fill some voids in the mental health space for sure, to help identify some of the kids across the country that are reaching out or are in need of reaching out, and providing some supports for them. So that's kind of what we spend most of our time outside of work doing, for sure.
It's such an unfortunate and traumatic loss, because I know how much Samantha, as any child, is a big part of the family, and how many youth that you have impacted and helped because of Samantha, and all of the lives that she has saved because of the initiative that you've created. And when we talk about business and giving back and social impact and who you are and who are your mentors, it's really who you put out and what your why is. And we'll get into that story. We just had a podcast with Chief Gibby Jacob, and talking about that. And we'll circle back to the Samantha Mason Foundation and what an impact that is. But maybe you can tell us about your experience, because it's a really good segue in from our last podcast to Chief Gibby.
Sure. Yeah. Chief Gibby was certainly I wouldn't say that he was a big influence in what I've done, where I've gotten to, but certainly a huge influence in how I think of what it is that I'm doing, and why I'm doing it. And that goes back to the very first conversation I ever had with Chief Gibby. And I was sitting in front of his big desk, and Chief looks very, very wise, sitting there, and he's a big man. And I was somewhat intimidated, for sure. And, and right away I said, Chief Gibby, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man. Would you like me to tell you a little bit about what it is that we're doing? And he said, we'll get to that, Brad. He said, but first I want to know why you do it. And really caught me off guard, because he's the first person that's ever asked me that question. And it was nice ever since then, I guess I've been somewhat self-reflecting as to, what it is that I want to accomplish on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis through my work, and to help out the communities that we work in, and again, to help out the youth in those communities. So he's one of the ones that really got me thinking about other than money. All the money in the world isn't going to change your life. There's got to be more to it than that, and it's got to be through giving back. And this really focused me, and it made me really think about what it is that we're accomplishing on a daily basis. And I challenge myself, and I challenge my staff, and we challenge each other, actually, to every day to be better and do better, and try to make an impact.
Yeah. And I know that, working with Brad and just with Servco in general, we've all talked to different proponents and different project owners, and they say, you're a construction company, and Brad is a really good way of saying that, we are a construction company, we do things, but we really do it with a little more heart, maybe. We do it with community in mind, and I see it every time. I mean, that's why we're such huge fans, right? So
I think the construction company is a vessel to allow us to do the things that we need to do. If it wasn't for the construction company, I wouldn't be able to visit a lot of these communities. I wouldn't be able to to do business, to joint venture with different First Nations out there, and the likes, and be able to speak to them and understand what their needs and what their challenges are, and all of that. So the construction company is kind of I don't want to say it's an ends to a means, but there's certainly something greater out there that we're doing than building, for sure.
Yeah, and I think, don't you, as well, we've had on some other podcasts where, people that are working within our space, the Indigenous space, helping communities, it probably is one of the most gratifying things that we all do, right? When we see these communities, we learn so much, right? We see it's so interesting, from Labrador to, you're up on Terrace all the time, from northern Manitoba. It's always, and the people, right? Like you said, the people.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can tell us about your experience. And I know when we first met about almost a decade ago, about the importance of procurement, about the importance of relationship building and doing things because it's the right thing, not because you're coming in as an industry partner or proponent, because you want to help a community. And I was sat on a panel for Roundup, which is a mining conference, and talking about industry coming into community now, 10 years later, where the biggest offer is employment and training. And I said on the panel, I went, that's so 10 years ago, right? It's not trinkets and beads anymore. It's ownerships, it's alliances, it's partnerships.
Yeah.
It's actually having an authentic consultation process. But we all learn from each other. And I think because when we first met, I was working for a nation, and working with industry sometimes is new for us, and we don't understand the margins. We don't understand the risk. We don't understand the bonding that's needed. We don't understand that all of the responsibilities to having an industry that is, even at small, a $20 million business to a $100 million business, and the margins. If you, as an industry, as a nation, wanting a 5% or a 2.5% straight off the top and not participating, it's really the way of the past. And it's industry leaders like yourself that were doing the right thing from the beginning. But you allow us to learn as Indigenous communities as much as Indigenous communities, like the wise words of Chief Gibby, gave to you. So I know one of your largest partners, I think it was Heisla. Was it out? It was in Terrace area, right? Working in those communities out there. Maybe you can give us an indication of what it was to be embraced in that community or work in that community, because I know that you had quite a large stay there, and I think you actually still have a house in that area.
Yeah, we do. Our relationship with Heisel has been a really good one, for sure. We've got on the LNG Canada site there, we've got somewhere probably between 300 and 350 people working at present. Certainly our first priority has always been to hire whatever Heisel community members are available to work, and to provide training and to provide long-lasting relationships. So we've done that all across Canada. We've done it in Manitoba up here in, the big kiosk Manitoba Hydro job that was up north here, as well with some First Nations, and, started a bunch of apprenticeships. And because it was a longer project, we were able to go right from first-year apprentice right through to journey person, and see an awful lot of the community members get their journeyman status, or journey person status, throughout the length of that project, which is really, really good, because an awful lot of these projects that are shorter term, there are a lot of apprenticeships that are started and never completed because the project is completed, and for whatever reason the community member isn't able to carry on and to see that apprenticeship through to fruition. So for us, it's really, really important that we provide opportunity, but two, leave the members with some kind of a training or certificate or something that they've got for life, and they can go back and always use that if they want to carry on with their trade.
Yeah, Brad, can you remember? I can't recall, but I think that we had some inclusion rates that we used to call it, or the amount of people that were working on the project. Like, you remember the numbers roughly? Or?
Well, an awful lot of it certainly depends on the number of nation members that are available for work. And up north in northern BC, with all the work and everything else that's going on there, I think there's 4,500 or 5,000 construction workers up there. So obviously the community can't provide that many people to work or to start apprenticeships or people that have trade tickets. But in other communities where they do have an awful lot of the community members that are looking for careers, we've had really, really good success rates with starting not only starting in employing First Nation members, but employing them in sustainable trades, rather than putting them on security or what have you, building fences or that type of thing, where we've been able to find meaningful trade careers for the members. So that's been important to us. But I'll take it one step further, Dean. I think that if you talk about reconciliation, I think really at the end of the day, and you've heard me say this, and I've said this to clients in board meetings, it's not about hiring First Nation members. It's about creating and developing First Nation business. And that's something that I know is near and dear to your hearts as well. And, for us, a perfect relationship is one in which we have a First Nation partner. And throughout, maybe it's one project, 2 projects, or 5 or 10 projects or whatever, but we're always looking to train the members in such a way that eventually they'll be able to take that company forward, and they won't need us anymore. And we'll go on and do it again somewhere else. So for us, that certainly would be the bar to excellence, for us, as far as achieving what we would consider a really, really successful partnership.
Excellent. I know that you have many core values that are really important to you. And with your industry, being able to have the opportunity to subcontract Indigenous businesses, but also the non-Indigenous businesses that you do business with, you have quite an arduous vetting process and respect. It's just not about price. It's about reputation. It's about sharing the same core values, and it's about associating yourself with people that have like-minded values. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and it's not only subtrades; it's everybody that we work with. Our professional partners. Back 4 or 5 years ago, we had done business up to that point with credit union, and we just got to the point where the credit union wasn't comfortable with us anymore because of the size of our facility, and we had to start interviewing charter banks, and it was kind of neat actually, because my relationships with charter banks had been 16, 17, 18 years old, trying to get $2,500 to buy a pickup truck and getting denied or what have you. So it was nice to see the level of participation, and all the banks flew in, their senior partners and that type of thing, because they were looking to get our book for sure. And but one of the last things when we shortlisted and we got down to 2, it really came down to, what is it that you do with the communities and how do you give back and how important is that for you? And so I think that's always something that we look at and evaluate, not only with subtrades, but certainly with subtrades, but not only with subtrades, with all the people that we work with. And we're looking to build relationships with those type of people.
Exactly. We like to, I know with the Bears Lair and Servco, and Dean and myself, and our associations and our social impact are going to be working very closely together. And it really is about the importance of brand association and who you surround yourself with. And if you are showcasing environmental friendly, environmental what have you, and then you throw garbage in the back of your pickup truck or what have you really have to live your values. And that's one thing that I really love about you and Judy Lynn, is that you really live your values through work, through your social impact and everything that you're doing.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. And I think that, people attract people that are similar to themselves, and I could say that about all of our senior staff that work here, and certainly the ones that have been here for an awful long time. They're all, they all think the same way. All of us think the same way. So it's not, as far as being able to maintain, the core values and principles that certainly not only Judy Lynn and I, but you two share as well. We've been able to attract like-minded people. So it's been really easy to continue that and to train our new staff coming in as to what's important and why it's important, as well. So.
Yeah, no, I think, when we talk here, we're talking like family, we're talking about our wives and our friends and that sort of thing, but can you give us an idea and, the audience an idea of the size of Servco, what you do and how many people do it?
We work across, mostly across Western Canada. We've got 4 offices across Canada in each province. And we're looking to expand to the east certainly as well. We're already working in northwestern Ontario, but we're looking to continue expanding to the east. But I think last year we wrote I don't know, maybe 1,500 or 1,600 T4s. So we go anywhere from 800 people to 1,500 people depending on how busy we are, and if we're in the middle of a big outage or turnaround or shutdown or what have you. Being an industrial contractor, it's really, really important to us that we can satisfy our clients' needs really, really quickly. So we're partners with most of the unions across Western Canada, so that if we get a call from any one of our clients and they say we've had a major breakdown or we need some work done because our facility is out, we can mobilize 300-400 people immediately and get them back up and running again. So that's kind of the size we are. All in, we're probably around $350 million a year, I guess, right now, and growing considerably every year. So.
Wow. And then what different levels of construction? So for our audience to know what different facets.
Yeah, we do. We'll do contract administration. We'll be general contractor, hiring subs for a client. We'll self-perform. We self-perform all the major trades: piping, electrical, boilermaker work, mill writing, scaffolding, insulation, inspection services, engineering. On and on and on. I'm missing a bunch of them for sure, but there's not a lot that happens in the industrial construction world that we don't have the capability to be able to self-perform. And that's in greenfield, brownfield, maintenance turnarounds. We've also got two fairly large fabrication facilities in Western Canada, one in Regina and one in Winnipeg. And we've got robotic welding, and we've got a big heat pre and post stress unit that we can bring piping spools into and do stress relief on those as well. So really anything that our clients need from an industrial perspective, we're able to fulfill that.
Right. And then by keeping it all in-house, what does that do? Like for the client, for the nations, what does that do?
Well, it gives us the capability to maintain a level of quality that we need. We're looking for excellence, and we're able to achieve that, having that all under our thumb. And the other thing, it gives us more direct control over cost. We don't have an awful lot of companies that end up having to subcontract the works below them or beneath them, end up with levels and levels of markup. And we don't have that because we can do it in-house. So we're saving the client money, we're providing value, and it's easier certainly for us to maintain schedule and to coordinate.
What does it look like? I mean, I've seen so many companies in the past try to work with nations, and I've seen some really poor jobs, right? But I've seen you do some really good jobs. So what does it look like from your point of view? Like, what are the steps that you take to create these partnerships?
Well, I think our biggest challenge is to build a bond, and to form the trust. As you know, an awful lot of people that are in our space, our competitors and the likes, sometimes don't always walk the talk, and they say it's important to them that they provide opportunity, but at the end of the day, for them it's a way to be able to qualify for certain projects, and the least that they can do for the nation communities, or the least they spend with the community, the better it is for them, because they're able to put more money in their pockets, and that's never what we've been about. So because there's a history of that, I think that the biggest struggle and biggest hurdle that we've got is to convince the community that our values are real, and that what we're saying is exactly what it is that we're going to do. And you've been, both of you have been very helpful in introducing us to First Nations and letting them know a little bit about what it is that we do. So it's easier to get that bond. But once you've formed a level of trust, certainly it's really really easy. We typically our first question when we meet a First Nation is what is it that you need? What's your community looking like, and what are your youth doing, and do they have any challenges, and is career opportunity important to you, or what have you? So before we tell people what it is that we're going to do for them, similar to Chief Gibby, we try to find out what's important to them and what their needs are for sure as a community, and then we work towards satisfying those needs and being able to help out. One of the things that we do through Samantha's Foundation is we started up an ice roads tour. So, a lot of our partners are up in the northern sections of Canada where you can't always drive into them, and during the months, usually typically from January to March, they've got the ice freezes over and they're able to get up there and with their trucks and their fuel and their food and everything else lasts them for the year. So what we started doing was going in with a group that we work with closely called Live Different.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Live Different is in front of more Canadian youth than any other organization in the country, with a message of love and empathy and empowerment, and their message to these kids through peer speakers is that everybody goes through things, and especially the peer speakers, they've been through things themselves, so they're able to get across to people that are struggling or students that are struggling and make them realize that their struggles are, in this current moment in time, doesn't define what the rest of their life is going to be like, and to provide hope and that type of thing. So the messages have been great. And you guys know that suicide rates in some of these Indigenous communities, these isolated communities, are 7 times what they are in urban settings for sure. So there's a big need for that, and those are the types of things that we do that outside of the partnership completely. We've got partners with these First Nations, but what we do going up there with the Live Difference or what you guys are doing with the Bears Lair, with the kids camps and that type of thing, being able to go in and speak to the kids and to provide opportunity for them and just give them the ability to dream and to start thinking about what the future entails for them. It's really exciting, and those are things that we really like to do for sure.
Yeah, and then I know the amount that we learn as individuals too. I had had the honor, of course, going up with the Live Different, and so did Gina, to St. Teresa Point, and I ran into a young man who made me think different. Right, it changed my life. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. You do learn from. They become the teachers for sure, and I know with Live Different, you participated with that with your family, and then can you talk about why? Because I know that they did not have that Indigenous ice tour, that they didn't focus towards that, and that you obviously you had your very traumatic why as to why you thought that you needed to make a difference, but Samantha Mason's unfortunate death did not go in vain, and how many different lives. And maybe you can share with us some of the stories and some of the impact that that has made a difference with Servco and Judy Lynn and yourself, and becoming a part of this organization, and how important it is to support it and how to grow it.
Yeah, well, certainly getting up into the isolated First Nation communities is something that they had never done. I don't think they probably knew where to even start, because there's an awful lot of logistics that goes into that. But after Samantha's death and with Samantha's foundation, Simon's Foundation, Live Different reached out and just to let us know that they were there for us, and to let us know a little bit more about what it was that they were doing with youth across Canada. And both Judy Lynn and I said this is something that we really want to do. We want to get involved with, because we believe that had Samantha had a chance to listen to their youth speakers, it might have changed the outcome. So it was important to us that we get involved with them and try to get them in front of as many communities as we can, for sure, especially the Indigenous communities. So we've been up on the ice roads to different communities, and the first year was great. The second year was even better, and the third and the fourth year, because they know that there's a commitment, a long-term commitment, with us and what it is that we're doing. We're not just parachuting in and out again. We're there for the long haul, and we're making long-term relationships with these kids. So there's one of the hip hop artists that goes up, or was going up, with the road team I had an opportunity to speak to him a while back and just asked him how things were going. So he was telling me some stories. And one of the ones that really touched my heart was they were up in one of these isolated communities, and they were preparing to head out. They'd been up there for 3 days, and they'd done a concert, and they did their presentation and done sharing circles and healing circles and that type of thing. And I think it was either the second or third time they'd been in that community. So they were getting to know some of the kids, and anyways, they were packing up all their gear into the trucks that they used up there. And little girl came up to him and just said, I just wanted to thank you guys for coming up here. And he was, we'd love to be here, and we're going to be here again next year, and we'd love to see you. And she said, I got you a present. And he's going, well, you didn't need to give me a present. He's, thinking that maybe she drew him a picture or something like that. Cause I think she was 11 or 12 years old or something like that. And she reached into her pocket and she pulled out a razor blade. And she said, this is, I was self-harming, and I don't need to do that anymore. You guys have been inspirational to me, and you've changed my life, and I don't need this razor blade anymore. And I wanted to give it to you as a token. And then there's 2 little girls behind her, and they did the same thing. So those are the types of stories that we're hearing coming out of these communities. So we know that we're making a difference for sure.
That does make a huge difference. And this is the ice road tours, the people that go, and we've witnessed it. Me being myself for the first time, I grew up in Winnipeg, and from when I was 2 until I was about 10, and you picked us up and got to see where my old stomping ground is, which is totally regentrified now, and it's not the hood anymore. It's more very shishi and bougie and hippie. But we got to go to St. Teresa Point, and I'm a very bubbly, positive person, and I wore pink. And we got there, and every single child, and it was a beautiful school, like a gorgeous school in the middle of nowhere. But you can dress up a community, but where is the opportunity? And I thought really naively, this is going to be great because I get to go to this community and tell all of these kids this great opportunity about business, and that when they get to be 18 or 19 years old, that they can apply for a grant and support their business. And when I was there, it was a really great life-changing opportunity for me to go, because every single child out of probably about 300 kids was wearing dark gray or black. There was no color. And everyone kind of, sauntered in to the room. And then what I loved about what they did was they put out the forms, the intake forms about, have you ever, without a name, have you ever thought about harming yourself? Have you ever felt like you're alone? Have you ever felt like you can't talk to anybody? Have you ever, and it would be true, yes or no. And then taking those individual forms and then mixing them up and then passing them out to each of the kids as an exercise. So, and I'm saying, this is not you. So just put your hand up if the answer is yes. And then looking around the room when it said, have you ever felt alone? 90% of the kids put their hands up. And have you ever felt like harming yourself? And taking a look, and 70% of the kids put their hands up. And it was a real wake-up call, not only for the people that were there to coach, to participate, the teachers, the leadership, the volunteers, but really most importantly, the kids to not know that they're alone, to know that they're not alone. And that was a really amazing exercise that this program has started, and that you have spearheaded this from the initial funding and making this available and seeing that there's a need. But how many kids, like the little girl with the story with the razor blade and her 2 little friends, how many differences are being made, and how many people are these little girls, which are probably now teenagers or young adults, or how many people are they influencing them in this ripple effect, and how you're just absolutely shifting and changing. And through a company where you employ people and you care about people, because really it is we care, Servco, we care. How many people that you're influencing, and what is your advice to people that have stories where they have people in their family that have taken their lives, or people that have gone off to live on the street or what have you, that really find their why and want to do something with industry to give back, because you can make money and because that's the purpose of business, but how can you give back, and how can you get that corporate culture aligned with making a difference?
That's a great question.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same message that you get to kids that are, kids that are struggling. The message is you're not alone, and what you're going through won't last forever. And when we lost Samantha, there's an awful lot of people that reached out to us and continue to reach out to us to this day, because we're in front of so many people, through the gala events and everything else. But they reach out with their own stories of the trials and tribulations and the things that have happened in their life, and just with a need to talk, and I think it's not a need to talk to anybody. I think it's a need to talk to people that have been through similar things. It's not a good club to be a member of, but there's so many of us out there that have been through losing people, long before we should have, for sure. And I think the most important thing is to open up and to reach out and to talk about it and to do something. Find a cause, find something that you believe in, and put yourself into it, for sure. Because it's through Samantha's Foundation, aside from helping the kids that are out there, which is the number one priority, for sure. But a byproduct of that it's been part of my healing journey, for sure, and my family's healing journey, to know that through a very tragic event, there's been some positivity and some good things that have come about it as well. And I know Samantha didn't leave a note, but we did find a few things on her phone. And one of the things we found was just a question to herself, really, and it was, I wonder if anybody will remember me. So it's every time we're doing an event, or every time we're in a school, or talking to kids, or you see the light bulb and you see their eyes pop open, and that we're getting through to them and everything else. I see Samantha looking down, and I know she's proud of what it is that we're doing, for sure. I've got towards I guess when she got to be about, well, it was pretty early, probably about 8 years old or so. We lost Sam at 15, but she got this thing where she would do the thumbs up all the time. And I've got pictures all over my house of Samantha, and probably 90% of them, she's got her thumb up like this, And so I often envision her looking down with her thumb up and saying, good job.
It's beautiful. That's a beautiful legacy that has been honored, that because I do know firsthand the impact that it made on my life. These kids at St. Teresa Point didn't care about what business they were starting. They just, from not being able to even say their name in a healing circle, or generationally as Indigenous kids, and the habits that we inherit from our parents, and we've really noticed that, because being a part of Live Different and the Ice Road tours, being able to educate kids on not only cultural values and our language and our education, but really give them non-trauma informed education as well through, and that's what we're doing through the Bears Lair. Is yes, you can start a business. You never have to leave home if you don't want to, and here's all the opportunity, but you really have to set the tone of social confidence and trust, and being able to just speak your truth before you ever think about going into business.
Yeah. And it's such a ripple effect, isn't it, Gina? It's not only the one person or the one kid that you're dealing with, they're working with. We're building leaders and future mentors, So you help one kid and they help two kids, and those two kids help two more, and that's how you build a village, for sure.
Absolutely. And I think what's really important too is, when you're in industry and you're making a social impact, is that you have the senior leadership, the owner, the creator, the senior vice president, the president, actually attend events that you're giving back for social impact. It's not just, here's a bursary, which is super great in certain aspects for organizations where time and capacity is limited and you want to support somebody, but really being involved in community. Absolutely. And going to the events. And maybe you can talk about how your relationship developed, and I know you're very embedded in the community with the Haisla Nation and everybody that you do business with, and how leadership and yourself connect, but also to the membership of the nation as well. Because I know it's not just employment and jobs; it's social impact that you do. It's opportunities that you give. It's procurement for not just for art installations and catering, et cetera. So how do you develop that type of relationship where you actually can show them that this is the leadership and face of the business?
Yeah, well, number one, what you were saying about the importance of senior members of an organization getting involved in not only what we're doing, but also what you guys are doing as well. With your Indigenous camps and that, it's really, really important. But as important, I think, is to share that story with your staff. I used to do. I used to speak at the Christmas parties, and now my partner Julian does an awful lot of that. So. But back when I was talking, one of the things that I would always bring up is the charity work that we were doing, through the company and the different things that we were involved in, and it became apparent really, really early that meant more to our staff and to their families and their wives and husbands and everything else than anything else that we were doing, because that would typically take over the conversation for the rest of the night. And after dinner, it would be lines of people coming up and saying, I just want to talk to you a little bit more about what it is you're doing, and how proud I am to be part of an organization that makes such a difference in the communities, and how can I get more involved, personally, and that type of thing. So as business owners, we all talk about the importance of retention of staff and key people. And I think to let those key people know that what it is that they're doing in their day-to-day lives that are creating, profits that you're able to redirect and make such a community impact is hugely important and very, very satisfying for the people that work for you. And I think that builds a team, but it also builds retention and the willingness and the want for people to stick around with that organization. So really, really important.
Nice. I think for next Christmas party, you have to sing and play guitar.
After what?
You have to sing and play guitar. You're an unbelievable singer for Starflight. I wore a guitar shirt for you today. They're too small to see.
People don't want me to sing and play guitar until the end of the night. They do that instead of turning the lights off and on to get everybody out of there.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I think the whole recipe for your success is, number one, to have experience, to care, to have a purpose and a why. And I think about businesses and not just businesses, but leadership, where they're absolutely consumable, where they don't improve the corporate culture, where they don't just take, and the employee retention isn't there. And I think coming from you with the experience and having your why and a purpose and being relatable and also accessible.
So genuine.
And so genuine is what is really a secret to your success, and why we're drawn to it, why we're going to be working together forever with you. And through that tragedy of Samantha, Dean had a friend that said, I've had a friend that just had the worst thing in the world happen. I just wanted to know if you could talk to him. And through that came that friendship, and through that came this friendship, and everything that we're doing together to make a social impact and a difference, and how wonderful the people are that you've surrounded yourself with, and then our circles of circle that we surround ourselves with. Yeah. So an incredible human. But what I really want to end our conversation with is, number one, what is your advice to industry leaders that want to do the right thing, that want to improve their corporate culture, that want to make a difference in Indigenous communities, but just their own internal community as well? What is your advice for them?
Find a cause. Find a cause you believe in. Find a cause that's important to you. Find a cause that your employees believe in, and just reach out and find ways that you can impact this world for the better, for sure. And you'll be much happier and much better for it. And, Ginny, you talked. You said a little bit about. You said a lot of really nice, kind words to me or about me. But one of the things I remember my parents saying early on in my life was, if you ever want to know who it is that you are. Take a look at your friends, and I've always been very, very humbled to look around and see all the amazing people that I'm surrounded with, not only in work, but in the industry and people I've met through the industry. And, I don't have to look any farther than you two I may not always feel worthy of all the people that I've got in my life. But I certainly feel blessed. And I thank you two for that friendship as well, because, you're on the same trajectory as I am. And to be able to share that, to share all our good works together is really, really important. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Brad Mason. You're an amazing human.
Yes, we love you.
Thank you.
All right. That's it for podcast 3. So thank you so much for your time today. And if everyone wants to look up more about Brad Mason from Servco, you can go to his website, see all the initiatives that Servco and all the great things that they're doing. And please help and donate, sponsor to the Samantha Mason Foundation. I know that you're having a fundraiser coming up in May. Maybe you could talk really briefly about that.
Yeah, we've got a big gala in Winnipeg here on May the 2nd. It's the third annual one, so we're expecting somewhere around 1,500 people. So it's going to be really, really it's going to be fun. There's going to be some tears and there's going to be some smiles and some laughs as well. So we always find a good balance, and I think the one thing that everybody shares is they feel really good at the end of the day, knowing that they've taken part in something that's going to make a difference and positively affect and potentially save some lives. So that's coming up May 2. And, there's other ways certainly that you can get involved with Sam's Foundation. If you look up Samantha Mason Foundation, it'll bring you to the website, and all our contact information is on there as well. So if anybody wants to reach out and speak to me directly, not only about getting involved with the association, but they're starting with the foundation, but if anybody's just got anything that they're dealing with personally or would like to talk about it, I'm always happy to listen and to tell you about my own experiences and see if we can find a common path.
That's amazing. Yeah.
You're amazing. Thank you, Brad Mason.
Thanks for having me.
Right. Okay. We'll see you soon.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Beyond the Lair. Follow us, download our episodes, follow us on our socials, Bears Lair TV on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Until next time, live your dream, find your purpose.